doing good, Wild East. We had some technical difficulties. Peace, Ria. Okay. Technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen.
Yo.
What's good, Pro?
Yo, you hear me, bro?
Yes, thank you.
Right, cool.
I don't know what happened there, man. Some technical issues.
Nah, it's all good. We here now.
Dope, man. Thank you for joining.
Nah, I appreciate you for having me, bro. What's the good word?
Not much, man. Just, I say the same thing every show. Long day of work. Now we're doing what we love, talking that hip-hop shit. And I feel very fortunate to have an artist of your caliber on the show, man. It's a real honor and pleasure, bro, to have you here. So,
appreciate you having me up, bro.
Yeah, man. So I try and keep it really conversational, you know what I'm saying? How was your day to start, man? How was your day?
I can't complain, bro. It was very productive. You know, I was looking forward to the interview. You know, we hearing.
Dope. Yeah, man. So just to let you know the background, I'm not sure if you know how this interview came to be, but I might as well give everyone in attendance the background. I did the Maze Overlay interview. Maybe you know him. He works with Coach, I guess, some degree.
Yeah.
And Coach was like, in the end, he's like, yo, that was one of the best interviews he's gotten. He gave me props. He also gave me some feedback on like posting too much content and shit. And I took it well. And then he's like, you know what? If you want to talk to anyone from my roster, he kind of started giving me names. And, you know, naturally I was interested in talking to you. So again, thank you. Thank you for taking the interview, bro. It's amazing. So
yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Shout to Coach. You know what I'm saying? You know, and shout to anybody keeping me in mind for anything like this. You know, I'm always willing to step out the box and give people a little insight to who I am. So I really enjoy doing stuff like this, honestly.
That's awesome, man. And I try to keep it respectful, you know what I'm saying? So if there's anything, I don't plan on getting controversial, that's not my thing, but if there's anything I ask that you don't like, you know, skip it or whatever, man. So,
feel free, bro, to ask whatever you want, bro. It's nothing really off limits. You know what I'm saying? I'm willing to speak on everything.
That's dope, man. That's dope. So yeah, and to be honest, I learned about you a few years ago. Actually, I through IG, I was listening to an artist named Lunatic from Virginia. Do you know Lunatic?
Yeah, that's my boy.
He said he knows you.
That's my boy.
So he's one of my earlier guests, and I saw he had a collab with you, and this was a few years ago, and that's actually how I learned of your name, man. So yeah,
what's
man.
Up, man.
Yeah.
We got a few joints together, man. Lunatic, I connected with him way back when Umbrella first kind of started. You know what I mean? He was just a good dude. Yeah, one of the first dudes to, you know, start showing me love. You know what I mean? So shout to my brother Lunatic, man. He's a good dude, man.
Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, I've had him on twice now, and he's from Portsmouth. I've had Bless Picasso on as well. I don't know if you know him, but I've talked to two dudes from his city. So yeah, man, some talent out there for sure.
So June 17th, but you know, before we move on, June 17th, I'm gonna actually be in Virginia.
Oh wow.
In Richmond, Virginia, at RVA Boombox, performing live. You know, with Bub Styles and some other dudes from out there. So if you're in the DMV area, pop out to Richmond, Virginia. I'm out there June 17th.
Maybe we'll send the message directly to Lunatic. What do you think?
Yes, sir. You know I'm coming. You know I'm coming out there.
Dope. That's dope, man. And I noticed you do a lot of music with Bob's. You know, I'm getting fully up to date on everything you're doing. I've went through, I think, most of your catalog in this chapter of your music, because I feel like you got chapters, bro. So how long have you been working with Bubs, and how did you link up and stuff?
Bubsy's a good friend of mine, you know, through this underground scene. Just, you know, and I don't have too many people that I would consider friends in this shit.
Right.
Bub's a good friend of mine, outside of music, pardon me.
Right.
You know, so when we collaborate, it's always real natural. It's never forced. You know, the couple records that we've done together is always, you know, every time we work together, it hits. So, probably been working with. We've been cool for like maybe a year or two now. We got a couple joints together and shit. But every time I see him, we don't ever talk about music, bro. That's how you know.
Right.
You know, like that's really the homie.
Right.
Like,
Right.
we don't we never talk about no music shit, bro. Rarely talk about music shit.
That's good. That's good. So at least you have a real connection, right?
Exactly. Like that's really my bro. Like,
that's dope.
You know, so shout to fucking Styles, man. Pardon me, I'm trying to get situated.
No worries. Take your time, man.
Yeah.
Take your time. So I want to tell you what I like about your music, man. Because I think I let you know. You know, I've been writing on and off my whole life, and I definitely tried my hand at being an artist. Nowhere on the level that you did it, but it gives me insight to be able to conduct a dope interview, I think, and get into things that not everyone could get into. So, to start, I'm a fan of all types of hip hop, but I think the hip hop that you bring to the table and the voice you bring to the table is important to cover. I feel you got a lot of heart in what you do, and to be transparent, you know, I'm not the biggest street dude per se, but even though I can't relate firsthand to everything that you talk about in your music, I relate to the heart in your music, if that makes sense.
Just to piggyback off that, I don't mean to cut you off, right? And I would hate for this to be the perception, but I'm not the biggest street dude either.
Oh, okay.
You know,
okay, cool.
What it
cool,
is,
cool.
it's just that when it's hard to put into words. It's like I never saw myself as a gangster or like somebody that wanted to be a gangster.
Gotcha.
Or nothing like that. I was just living, you know, and I didn't know that there was other ways to live.
Right.
You know, I was kind of oblivious to what people would consider a normal lifestyle. You know what I mean? Like,
got it.
So I would have never called myself like a gangster or street dude or whatever. I was just around all the time, you know, and not for any particular reason except that, you know, my parents were always at work, you know, and you know, me and my brothers were just outside, you know. We went from playing basketball and stealing bikes to playing Russian roulette and stealing cars. Like it was the progression was like that. Yeah. You know, so I'm not a street dude. I wouldn't consider myself a street dude. I'm a dude that was in the streets, involved in the streets, but I never want to let that define me or who I am as a man. You know? I'm a father, you know, that's what I define myself by, you know. I'm a son, I'm a brother, I'm a leader, you know, I'm a general, I'm a boss, I'm an intelligent, rational man. Like there's so many other things that I would choose to define myself by rather than being a street dude or being in the streets or from the streets or whatever. I don't want that to be my defining legacy with any of this shit. You know what I mean? I'm an artist. You know?
I appreciate that. I appreciate that highly for straightening me out on that. I appreciate that. So nonetheless, like the heart shines through in your music. You know, and that track about your grandmother, This Heart, those are actually some of my favorite songs. That has nothing to do with anything I just said. Those are actually among my favorite songs that you have. And even though you don't want to be defined by it, I mean, it's fair to say you're kind of in that lane musically. Would you agree, or would you disagree with that statement?
No, I would agree that I make gangster music. I make music for gangsters, you know, but it's not only gangsters can relate to that particular lifestyle. You know, I know motherfuckers have been in their street their whole life, but never was gangster. You know, you could just you could just relate, you know.
Yeah.
Would I define my style as street music? It could be considered that,
Got
you
it.
know. I wish that there was a different what is it, like an adverb? I wish there was a different word to describe what it was that I do. It's music from the streets.
Got it.
It could quite possibly be considered music for the streets, but it's like you said,
Well,
it's heartfelt. It's from a genuine place.
let me know if this sounds right. I mean, we're talking about you. We're talking about your life, and you don't want to be
Mm-hmm.
defined by one thing. This is your life we're talking about, right? And your life is
Mm-hmm.
bigger than
The
the street.
streets.
That's what we're saying, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha. And you know what I like about your style is there's a ton of poetry between each set of rhyming words, man. That's what really stands out to me. We're gonna get into some quotes later if you have the time.
Of course.
And it's very direct and hard hitting in terms of like how you structure your raps. I get really nerdy with this shit. I imagine I imagine you growing up used to study artists, right?
Oh yeah.
And even though I'm not actively making music, it's just still in me to like break things down, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the way you structure your bars, I kind of know what's coming structurally, but you keep coming up with this direct shit and wordplay that is like more direct than I can imagine, and it kind of beats you over the head. You know, it has that kind of impact.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very strong style that cuts through all the noise out there, is what I want to say.
Thank you.
And then it's cool for me to like dig through your videos, watch how you perform, and like watch how people hang on your words and move the crowd. I mean, your style is tested, and I'm sure there's a lot of years behind that of perfecting your craft.
Many years.
I wanted to ask you a random question. Were you a fan of cannabis at all back in the day?
Oh yeah. Who wasn't?
Yeah. Well, was he? Go ahead.
He had like he had one of the greatest moments in time in hip hop history. Period. You know, when him and LL battled each other, that was, for me at the time as a young man into the music, it felt like time stopped. Everything else stopped when that battle happened. You know.
Yeah.
So that was a moment for me, you know, and for him to go against such a juggernaut, because to me, LL Cool J is the GOAT.
Right.
He's the greatest rapper of all time.
That to you, he's your favorite. Okay.
Yeah, you know, because he was the first rapper to transcend rap music.
Yeah.
You know, so for him to test his sword against a juggernaut like LL Cool J, you know, it was fearless, you know, and admirable, you know, and he actually got a round off on him. You know, he won that with that second round knockout. That particular round in the battle, he won.
Right.
You know, so it's like he actually boxed with God. You know what I'm saying? And got a punch off. You know.
Yeah.
So I love Cannabis for that. I'm not gonna say I was like a super fan, like into his albums and shit. Because for me, I felt like Cannabis couldn't write songs.
Me too. Same. But here's why I'm asking the question. Like, when I hear an artist, I think they come from a certain strain. Like, you got people that like derive from Big Daddy Kane, or like Cool G Rap, or like Tribe Called Quest or something. I was listening to you and I was like, this dude attacks the snare kind of like Cannabis, not like his style, but when he was getting more aggressive on the snare, I was like, shit, he sounds a bit like Cannabis. Was there any influence, or am I completely off?
No. I mean, I like once again, you know, I'm from that era, so of course, you know, those things were all part of my daily consumption. But
right.
I wasn't like sitting studying. I would listen to his freestyles like everybody else. I was into Cannabis as much as everybody else was.
Yeah, that makes sense.
No extra, no less. My lineage, as far as like where my style came from, is Onyx,
right.
Wu-Tang, particularly Method Man.
Yeah.
Tikal was the reason why I wanted to start rapping. When I first heard Tikal and Release Your Delph, that's what made me want to be a rapper. So my lineage is it started with Onyx, Wu-Tang, and then it progressed to Mobb Deep, Nas, and then I got real into Biggie, you know, and then you know, of course, Pac, you know what I'm saying? Like that's my lineage, you know, and then Big Pun came out, Big L was already out. Like those were the things that I was consuming on a daily basis.
Do you remember the first rap song you heard? What it was and what your impression was when you heard it? I can remember. I was mad young.
I the very first rap song that I could like remember. It was Run DMC, Peter Piper Pick the Peppers, Run Right Rhymes.
Yeah.
It was that one. It was a Hammer song. It was Hammer was out already, and it was a couple joints, man. But for sure, that Run DMC joint, that's the one that always stuck out in my head the most, like initially, and then I went down like a rabbit hole after that, bro. You know what I mean?
That was that.
Oh, and, what you call it? Big Daddy Kane, Smooth Operator. I remember, like it was just like shit, like from that my dad used to play, or like like older. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember shit, but like Hammer was the first rapper to me where I was like, oh shit, you know what I mean? Like too legit to quit. You know what I'm saying? I was like, oh,
I had the single, and I had the Run DMC tape. That was my first tape. I had it when it came out. So
the Hammer single of Too Legit to Quit was the very first tape I ever owned.
Got it.
Right, and on the back side of the tape, the B side was Tell Me Have You Seen Her.
Got it.
And both on both sides, so it had the Too Legit to Quit instrumental, and on the B side it had the Have You Seen Her instrumental, and we used to do little raps over that shit.
Got it. So that's when it started. So wanted to get into growing up a bit, if that's cool with you, kind of where you're from and stuff. So I read that you're born in the Bronx, you moved to Far Rockaway, Queens, and then you moved to Rockland County. I don't know if that's where you're at.
Yeah, I'm still there.
How can you tell us the contrast between those places and how they might have impacted you?
Or I mean, when we lived in the Bronx, we were still young, you know. It was bad where we lived at, so it wasn't like, we wasn't like walking around by ourselves and shit. But it was bad where we lived at.
Right.
So my mother lived in the Bronx, my father lived in Far Rockaway, and we used to split time between the two residences.
Right.
So during the week, we'll be in the Bronx at my mother's, going to school or whatever. And then on the weekends, we'd be in Far Rockaway, school vacations would be in Far Rockaway. Summers would be in Far Rockaway. So we shared time between the two, but both places were equally as dangerous at the time. Right. So my aunt moved up here first. My aunt was up here for a minute, and we used to come up here for barbecues and to go to Rockland Lake, to go to the pool and shit like that. Right. And after a minute, my mom just moved up here, and it was, at first, when we first came, it was like a stark contrast. It was very it was weird, but then you shortly, you realize that it's every place has a ghetto. Every place has somewhere where it's low income people and less opportunity, you know what I mean? So when you think about it, everywhere is the same. You got your nice places and you got your not nice places.
Right.
I'm from a place where I'm from where it's not so nice.
Right.
And then there's other places out here that are really nice.
Gotcha. Yeah, just to let you know, I'm basically from Toronto, man. So, I've been to New York a couple times. Obviously, I'm highly influenced by rap and East Coast rap growing up. So it's the stuff of lore to me, you know what I mean? The legendary shit. So it's just cool to ask you those questions and see, just see what you have to say about the places you grew up in, man. So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
I also understand that you kind of ran with the punk rock scene in the past,
yeah,
kind of,
yeah.
because hip hop acts and punk rock were kind of at the same venues.
Hmm.
So, wanted to ask you, is there something punk rock could do for you as a listener that hip hop can't, and vice versa?
It's this for me. It's the same energy, you know. The punk scene, the skate scene. You know what I mean? Like I've indulged in all of them. In had friends involved in all of them different type of scenes. You know what I mean? And you know, I've been to events and pop out, and you know what I'm saying, because it's the same energy. It's all
Right,
rebellious,
right.
innovative energy. You know what I mean? It's all art that comes from having the least amount of
Mm-hmm.
resources. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you go to a skate park and you watch kids doing what they do out there. It's the same thing as sitting in the studio and watching somebody write bars. It's all art. You know,
Yeah,
for me, the punk scene when I was younger and attending those shows, it was the energy value that I was looking for. You know, it
yeah,
was the community aspect of it. It was very similar to the underground scene now.
yeah.
Just the music was different. You know, the Sonics were the same, the venues were the same. You know what I mean? Like it was the same. So for me, what's happening now is natural. You know,
Yeah.
I've been here before.
Got it. Are you aware of was is there even a scene like I've only listened to hip hop surprisingly. I didn't grow up in the most hip hop environment. Obviously, by the time the 90s came, hip hop was everywhere. But like when I was a kid in the 80s, like it was very fringe activity to fucking listen to
Right,
hip hop where I was from, right?
right.
Um, I think I lost track, but is there a punk rock scene? Are you still tapped in? Is that still something you fuck with or
Yeah, yeah. I'm still tapped in with certain bands and you know musicians and stuff like that. And same thing with the skate scene. I'm tapped in with skaters. I'm tapped in with people that own skate parks, and
right?
you know, and just if there's any way that I could mix our cultures again or find a way to do that, you know what I mean? Then I'm all for it because it's all the same shit to me.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool. So I read again. Here's the thing. I didn't want to watch too many of your. I didn't want to watch your interviews because I want to meet you for the first time. You know what I'm saying? So I read some interviews. So bear with me here. So I read at one point it felt like everyone around you was rapping. I didn't come from that environment as a little kid when I started writing, but being in that environment, does it inspire you to take music seriously, or does it feel like some everyday shit and you better do something else with your life? I was very curious to ask you.
At a certain point, it felt like I needed to find something else to do with myself. You know, honestly, it felt like that maybe I wasn't gaining any traction or making any headway. You know, just spinning my wheels and shit, and
Right,
you know, everybody was kind of like around. We were all doing music, but everybody was like in and out of jail. We were all still caught up doing like other shit that didn't have nothing to do with music.
right,
So it made doing the music that much more tedious, and you know, we took it for granted for sure. So right before I quit, I was gonna quit, and you know, I was like, fuck it, let me just try one more time,
mm,
like, and I made an EP. You know, it was everyone's foul, and then that was I got a really good response from that. You know, and it was right around the time when you know this sound started to become popular again. You know, I was failing because I had been doing this sound way before in eras where what we do now wasn't popular.
right, right.
So I
I,
wasn't
I,
getting any traction, you know?
right. I wanted to ask you that because, again, I read that around 2018-ish, you were on like maybe Instagram or some shit, and you were seeing that there was an underground scene out there. Correct me if I got the details wrong. So I wanted to ask you, was it that you felt like, oh shit, this is what I like to do. This is what comes naturally for me. Now's my time. Is that basically what you're saying? Or
it was all about timing.
right.
You know, it was all about timing. When I made Everyone's Foul, it was kind of like there was a shift happening in the scene. You know, I wasn't aware of what was happening. I knew I just wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, let me block out whatever's happening and just put music out and see what happens.
Right.
You know, but let me put it out and direct it towards this particular demographic. If I did what I'm doing now 10 years ago, I'd be richer at it.
Right.
Well, not let me rephrase that. Not rich, because I consider myself rich already, because there's a difference between rich and wealthy. You know, being rich really don't got nothing to do with money. Being rich is like having all the things that wealthy people don't have is what makes you rich.
In spirit, you mean in spirit?
Not even in spirit, just in all type of aspects. You know what I'm saying? Being rich is having everything that wealthy people don't have and money can't buy, and the shit that wealthy people wish they could attain.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's true rich. That's really rich. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Having money just makes you wealthy.
Peace.
Yeah, your peace of mind. You know what I'm saying? The peace of somebody else's heart. You know what I'm saying? Like that shit you can't buy with money, yo.
Yeah.
You know? So I'm trying to like embrace that aspect, you know, like, and really be grateful for the things that make me rich as a human. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That shit don't got nothing to do with music. The music is just the outlet for the human.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's just my canvas.
Right.
You know? So that doesn't, once again, it's like music don't define me. I was a man before music.
If I could interject, I would say there's some artists I feel they're not really artists because they live in their art. You know what I'm saying? Like their art has basically become their adopted struggle in life. But it's clear you have a life that you bring to your art, so to speak, if that makes sense. So
I also want to make I want a life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't want to just live. I want a life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At this point in my career and in my life as an adult and a grown man with children and all of that, I'm not content with just breathing anymore. I want to live. You know what I mean? I'm in full pursuit of my happiness, my dreams, my greatness, my success, in whatever form that may take. You know what I mean? I'm in full pursuit of that, and that alone.
That's beautiful. That's a dope way to be, man. That's dope. Wanted to ask you, growing up or just getting into music at various stages in your life, were there any figures around that showed you how to make a dollar off music? Did you have any influences or mentors?
My Uncle Frankie, he used to be a DJ, right? He used to make like blend tapes, like in the hood, right? He used to do like house music and like freestyle music blend tapes.
Right.
So I used to be with my uncle a lot. He lived in Jersey. So that scene, that freestyle house club type shit was real big with like Puerto Ricans at that time. And my uncle would DJ and make these blend tapes, and he would make a bunch of them. I'd be in the house with him, helping him record the tapes. He had like a whole deck with mad tape decks,
right?
The receiver, big ass speakers and shit, the whole shit. And he used to make these tapes, and then we'll get in the car and he'll put one of the tapes on. He used to have this little ass green car, but with this big ass speaker, and the speaker was right in the back seat.
Right.
The shit wasn't even in the trunk. The shit used to be sitting next to me in the back seat.
Right.
And, we used to ride around Jersey City, and my uncle would sell these tapes to all of these Puerto Rican dudes. We be riding around for hours, all day, selling tapes. Sometimes he'll go into this bar that he'll like, and we'll park in front of the bar, and he'll be in front of the bar just selling his tape,
Was that because the music was physically coming out of New York, that he was closer to it? I mean, house music is from Chicago, if I'm not mistaken, but because tapes, I mean, it's physical product that had to travel back then, so I thought I'd ask you.
Well, the thing is with that, too, is that by that point, house music had already made it, you know, from the Midwest to the East Coast.
Right.
You know, mind you, my uncle was staying in Jersey. You know how Jersey is with that house music, club music shit. They've been on that for years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you add the Latino influence with the freestyle music. You know what I mean? You mixing that with the house music, so it was just like a perfect storm. And then back then, I guess that was the only way to really move music product is to create your own physicals and actually get out there and hustle and shit. My uncle was selling them tapes like dope, bro. Like, you know, he was selling a lot of fucking tapes. I saw it with my own eyes, and I was like, what the fuck? That was the first time I seen that shit. And then on a larger scale, once again, I told you I was a fan of Hammer and LL Cool J. Right. Them the first two rappers that I saw when, like, you see them in the videos, you look at them and you be like, damn, these niggas really got money. Like, Hammer was really, really getting money. You know, LL Cool J was really getting money. Run DMC was really, really getting money. Like, you can look at these people, you can see them like around. You know what I'm saying? Like, we lived in the Bronx. Famous people used to come through all the time. You could see these people like they were tangible. You know what I'm saying?
For me, where I was sitting in Toronto, whatever neighborhood I was in, it was like, yo, these people are like action figures, like superheroes. Like, I have their tapes, I read the magazines, but I can't fucking see these people for like through the 80s, as a little kid. You know what I'm saying? So it's interesting. I love hearing these stories from New Yorkers about hip hop. It's amazing.
When I was a little kid, bro, like I said, my uncle, he was a DJ, but he was also a photographer, right? And his man's was the photographer. So we used to be in all of the parades, all of the all the block parties. Bro, my uncle right now, he got pictures of me with Chuck D, fucking Flavor Flav, just, KRS-One, mad people, bro. Mad people. Like, you could just be at a block party and see Flavor Flav, and you could be at a block party in the Bronx and see Flavor Flav drunk as shit, just walking through the block. For real, amazing, bro. Big ass plot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You could see these people. They were just around. You know, like, I remember like in the 90s and shit like that, when Lost Boys like Freaky Ty and Mr. Cheeks and all of them, like when they was like a real gang, and it was like 100 of them niggas all the time, everywhere. They were a real gang. Like, Lost Boys was deep, yo. I used to go to Queens to visit my father. They would do picnics, barbecues. You know, like where I'm at right now in Rockland County, Wu-Tang used to come up here to Rockland Lake and do big barbecues, bro. Like, Biggie performed out here. You know, the Lots came out here before. Like, things were tangible even before my time up here. You know what I'm saying? Run DMC came up here. A bunch of other people like been through here before. So now it's not as easy. Like, with the internet, it's not, the allure isn't the same like how it was when we were young. And you know, and like you said, our favorite rappers look like action heroes or movie stars because you wasn't so easily able to access their personal lives and shit. And
or do shit like this.
Exactly. I was just about to say, you ain't gonna see Big Daddy Kane would have never got on the live in the 80s and talking about his personal life, and that was part of the allure of being a rapper at that time. But I think that what's happening now is an advantage because a lot of people want to see the real side of who you are. You know, like for me, a lot of people get like bad misconceptions of me when they hear my music. But at the end of the day, like in real life, I'm a fairly rational person. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just trying to live a regular life. This is just my outlet for that person.
Definitely, you know, to be transparent, it puts me at ease talking to you, getting this immediately. You know what I'm saying? Because you never know. I've never met you before, right? So it's mad cool to chop it up like this, man.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Because once again, like I said, bro, it's like, well, first listen, you listen to my music, or you'll see a picture of me without meeting me. You might think I'm unapproachable, or whatever the case may be. Like, but I'm actually trying to bring back that feeling back to what we doing. I want to be tangible. I want to be approachable. I want people to be able to walk up to me in the spot and get a signature. Or,
I think you've frozen.
Yeah, I'm here. You there? You here?
Yeah, you froze for like 2-3 seconds, but yeah, I'm here. We're good.
I was saying basically, like, I want to bring that feeling back to what we're doing. You know, I want to be accessible and tangible and around and, you know, approachable and, yo, can you sign this for me, bro? Can we take a picture? Like, I want to be that. You know what I mean? Like, I want you to go to a barbecue and see me in the corner drinking a beer and eating a plate. You know, like that's who I am.
But besides the aggression in your music is down to earth. Like, you're a very down to earth person. We're gonna get into some of the rhymes shortly enough, but yeah. So
true that. Like, I'm not perfect, bro. I'm still a human. You know what I mean? I'm still way more like that than I would like to be. You know, but every day, the goal is to wake up and be a better version of yourself than you was yesterday. So we all working towards that. You know, I'm a human still. I make mistakes. I have transgressions and regressions, and I fuck up like everybody else. You know what I mean? But we still learning. Nobody got this shit figured out, man. It's like everybody's flying by the seat of
you
their
could
pants.
be from anywhere and not end up on different paths, man. I've seen all sorts of stories with people growing up. You know what I'm saying? Anything could happen. So
real shit.
Yeah, man. So this interview is not catered to that part of your life, but I did want to ask you, to the extent you're comfortable talking about it, was there anything that made you like an event, or was it a series of events that made you say, you know what, I really gotta try and move the street shit away a bit and focus on something else? Was it any one thing? Was it a bunch of things? To the extent you care to share, you know, I don't want to probe, you know what I'm saying?
It's a lot going on. You know, it was a lot going on, man. And I was almost like forced to make a decision, you know, if I wanted to continue on that path or try to do something different, you know, and try to make my way different and do things different. And I chose the latter, you know what I mean? That path for me to continue on would have been irresponsible as a father. You know, and just as an overall human being, it wouldn't have been the most intelligent thing. So I chose the more rational decision, and I just left the streets alone and just focused on the music. You know, and a year later, it's paying dividends, and I'm super duper grateful, bro. I'm blessed. I can't complain. I'm not wealthy, but I'm rich. You know what I mean? I don't have no warrants. I don't have no open court cases. There's nobody looking for me. I don't owe nobody no money. Yeah, I ain't on no drugs. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm out the way. Nobody comes looking for me. Like,
that's good. So I gotta stay on my toes with this interview because I pulled out a quote. Let me just see here. From one of your interviews, you said, "My inspiration is simple. I aspire to be the best version of myself every day, to keep my wife and children comfortable for the rest of their lives." This is stuff you've just basically told me. If I'm in the streets, that isn't possible. And then you also mentioned, I don't ever want my son or daughter to see any of that stuff anymore. I'd rather them know this version of me. So I don't know how old your kids are, but I wanted to ask you, have your kids listened to your music? And how do you think, you know, they know you as you are in the flesh? How do you think they would interpret your music if they heard you, or how would you hope they interpret your music?
One of my daughters loves my music.
Yeah.
She's 9. She's about to be 10. She's super tapped in to this whole scene. You know,
Nice.
she's a big fan. You know these kids, bro. They got tablets, they got phones.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They TikTok and all that shit. Like, so my daughter's super duper duper tapped in. You know what I'm saying? Super tapped in. She's a huge fan. My son loves music. He listens to my music all the time. And he's 3,
Right.
4. He just turned
Right.
4.
Right.
But you know, if I'm working on the computer, you know, like he'll come right in the room, bro, grab my headphones, or he'll pull up a chair. Like, he's real into what I do.
Yeah.
I'll play a beat, and he'll say his ABCs to the beat,
Yeah.
like, but perfect cadence, perfect timing, you know. But it's just in them naturally, because that's all I do.
It's funny. My kids have heard me rap. They know it's a big interest of mine, of course. They're 4 and 7, but when they hear the style of rap that I would do, or, you know, boom bap or underground, whatever you want to call it, sampled, they don't like that shit. Your kids appreciate it?
My kids love that shit. My
That's
daughter
dope.
has a playlist. She has like her own YouTube playlist
Right.
with all like 90 songs. I'm talking like Gangstar,
Right.
Black Moon. Like, this is a 10-year-old girl, bro. Like,
Yeah.
you know, Queen Latifah, Moni Love. Like, I like songs that I don't listen to on a daily basis. Stuff that she gravitated to on her own.
That's dope. That's dope, man.
Yeah. So, and then as far as like my son, he's too young. Like, he's still little, so he don't remember much from when I was moving around or whatever. My daughter remembers a good amount, you know what I mean, or, you know, because she's older, and my oldest, she kind of like was there for everything, you know what I mean? Like,
Got it.
so once again, I'm trying to like progressively become better, you know what I mean? And I wish that maybe they wasn't exposed to some of them things, but at the end of the day, it was a learning experience for me.
Yeah.
They're in very safe hands, good hands now, and you know, like I keep saying, my whole theme is gratitude. I'm just grateful right now.
Dope. That's a good way to be, man. Wanted to point out, you know, I think I've listened to every project, at least that you have on Spotify. I asked Coach, does he go like before 2019, 2018? He at first he told me that was everything, which I was like, are you sure this is everything? But anyways, I've listened to every album of yours that was on Spotify, every bar, probably twice, at least, some songs over and over. One thing I wanna say is that the shit from your first project in this go round, in this chapter, to your latest project, it goes together. So I wanted to ask you, was that a very strategic decision to say, yo, like, fuck it, this is what we're doing, this is how we're going to sound, you know, and we're going to stay true to that? Or is that a conscious decision? Or, because that's the way it sounds to me, like you're very laser focused with how you want to sound, come across.
It sounds like that because I don't consume anything rap related, really. You know, like, unless I'm listening to like golden era shit, like the 90s, you know, type shit.
Yeah.
I don't listen to rap music. I listen to Spanish music. I listen to classic rock. I listen to arena rock. I listen to jazz,
Right.
samba, R&B. I don't listen to rap music. That shit don't sit right. You know, like, it doesn't sit right with me.
Gotcha.
Unless I'm creating it.
Right.
So I don't know, man. So for me, my music sounds the way it does because it's not influenced by any sound.
Got it.
I don't listen to nothing because I don't want to sound like nobody.
You try and keep yourself in a vacuum, so to speak, and just do your thing, and that's the way it's coming out.
Yeah.
Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, not because I don't care about what's happening. You know, like, I stay aware of what's happening, but at the same time, I want to isolate myself creatively, so I don't draw influences from places inadvertently, because a lot of people do that without meaning to do it.
Yeah.
I don't want to be one of those people.
Gotcha.
So I want to maintain the integrity of my sound, and I do that by completely isolating myself creatively.
Right. So interestingly, I went digging on YouTube, as you I think you saw. I found your YouTube account from 10 years ago somehow, bro. I don't know if you're aware that it exists, but yeah. So I saw you, like, a crowd was out there for you, man. You were moving the crowd. I don't know what venue it was. There was no caption. I think your homie came through on the post and said, yo, this is older than 10 years. This is 15 years ago by his estimation. Yeah. So can I ask you, like, how many chapters do you have in your life with music, like, where you're, like, serious, then kind of step away, then get serious again? You know what I'm saying?
I always tell people that I've had 3 rap lives.
Right.
But my most recent life in this shit has been my most successful run at it.
Right.
You know, when I first started, it was hot. You know, I was like, boom, 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 boom. I was young. I was 14 years old when I dropped my first project.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So, and it was self-produced. I did all of the beats, you know what I'm saying? Everything. And I pressed up all the CDs myself, all of that. And this was like when G-Unit first came out, but maybe 3 years before that.
Okay. So,
and if there's people in here from my hood that remember this shit, please chime in. I did these black and white CDs. I was putting them out. I was doing my own shows, all of that, where I'm from. And then I stopped for a little bit.
Well, was there anything that pulled you away, or just?
Yeah, I was trying to be like a kingpin and shit. I was just being stupid, you know, head first, doing dumb shit, selling drugs, gangbanging, moving around to different places and shit, I was trying to find myself, but you know, chasing money and shit and bitches and stupid shit.
Right.
And then, you know, a couple years after that, I locked it back in. You know what I mean? And shit started going good again. Boom, 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 boom. And then we got it to a point where it was real, real good. And then everything just stopped again, right? And then I kept going a little bit, sporadically here and there. And then when I put out Everyone's Foul, that was from there, it just went. Psh.
That's awesome.
And it wasn't overnight, you know what I mean? That shit came out the end of 2017, 2018, some shit like that. And shortly after that, we created the umbrella, and then things just slowly but surely, you know what I mean? Like this, you know? And now it's to a point where it's the machine is moving itself, but we still not where we need to be at yet. It gotta be more.
Right. Yeah, man. So I'm looking forward to seeing this chapter continue, of course. You know, I wanted to ask you one thing. You seem to be a go-to for collabs. It seems that artists look at you as a really good look, you know what I mean? Especially if your sounds are somewhat on the same wavelength. Mm-hmm. Wanted to ask you, is there any times you'll turn down a paid collab? Where it's just I don't know. Or are you open to, you know, working with artists of any sound, style, flavor?
With collabs, you know, I'm like a mercenary, you know what I mean? But of course, the money has to be right. The business has to be right, you know. And then I have to like the record a little bit. You know, I'm not gonna just do anything because I want to have a level of integrity as well. You know.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's you know, this is my profession. It's how I pay the bills. So I can't really afford to turn down too many of those. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It really got to be. It has to be some terrible shit for me to be I ain't doing shit. Or it gotta be, or somebody gotta be on the record that I don't fuck with. If you be oh, so you know what I mean? And I don't respect your pen or whatever the case, I won't do the record. You know?
Yeah. I mean, it's incredible that you're even in a position to make money off rap. You know what I mean? I know you've worked hard to get where you are. It's not overnight, but the fact that you are where you are and you're getting checks off music, like you're, there's so many artists in the ocean that are not able to do that at this point, and it's a blessing that you can. You know what I'm
I'm
saying?
grateful, bro. I'm grateful, and I'm glad that I finally found my demographic. It's not that I was making bad music before. I
Right.
just was aiming it at the wrong people.
Right.
So if I did what I did then, what I'm doing now, I'd be way further along. Where well, I was just trying to make music for the people in my neighborhood, in my county.
Right.
Like. But and not to say anything crazy or whatever, but these are people that don't buy music.
Right.
Don't buy physicals, don't buy CDs and vinyl, and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
they'll support you all day in your face and stream your shit and
Got it.
play it on YouTube or whatever. But it's like people from overseas will buy your T-shirt, they'll buy your vinyl, they'll buy your sticker.
I noticed on your website, like, you put a pretty good price on your albums and shit. It's dope that you have the confidence, to put up a good amount of money for your projects, and it means you value your shit, and I assume that the right person is willing to pay for it, and it's dope just to see that you value your shit enough to say, no, this is like $50, $60. Anyways, just the observation.
Everything ain't for everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. You know what I'm saying? And art is really what you take it for. So if I want people to see my music for the art that it is, then I need to make people see my shit for the art that it really is.
Yeah.
There's really no dollar amount that I could put really in reality on what I put into my music. It's not easy to invoke feelings of pain and guilt and regret and anguish. Like these are the things that fuel my music. As an artist, all your shit comes from you have to have a dark space. Like good art don't come from happy people, bro. That's just the reality of it. You had to have been through something or seen something that really changed you as a person, to the point where you need an outlet to express that shit. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's the whole point of this outlet. I call it the art of rhyming because I really want to slow it down, point out the artist's best work, talk to them, and remind people what goes into this shit. You know what I mean? That's really the point of this platform. So I completely get what you're saying.
Earlier when you asked me, like, well, what happened? Like, what was the shift, bro? Like, if I can't sit here on this interview and tell you how bad it hurts for your friend to get murdered, and you were supposed to see him that day, or like somebody that was just at your house get murdered, somebody you close to, you know what I mean, or your fucking door getting kicked in, or you know, like these are things that as a people we take for granted, but it's because we're so conditioned that we don't realize these are all small traumas. You know what I mean?
Sure.
There's
people that run around messed up. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I'm saying there's no dollar amount that I could put on sitting in my basement and crying real tears, bro, of pain, bro, missing my niggas, bro. That's not never gonna come back, or never get out of jail, or whatever. Like, there's no amount of money that I could charge that would equate to what it takes for me as a man to make music. It's not like I just go in there and be like, yo, da 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 da, ba, 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 ba. It takes a lot for me to make music because it's not just music. You know what I mean? So if when I charge them numbers, you know, some people might be like, oh, what the fuck? And it's like, bro, you're not buying a
Yeah,
fucking pack of bubble gum here.
absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're buying my life that I
Yes.
recorded on a microphone for the world to hear. You. I'm basically selling you my pain.
Yes.
You know, and you're telling me that I'm charging you too much, then this isn't for you.
Yeah.
This piece of art isn't for you.
Yeah.
But there's a bunch of people that highly value what I do and will gladly pay that price 2 times.
That's dope. I wanted to ask you. I mean, this episode is about you. I look at this show as a show for artists and hardcore hip hop fans. Close second, to be honest with you. Do you have any gems you could drop for people that are like struggling to like start charging for their shit, or like, you know, start asking for money for collabs, or start selling merch, or like any gems you can drop to shift that mindset?
Just do it. You know, like it's really nothing. There's no like blueprint to this shit or nothing. You know what I mean? Like when I make a project, I make sure that that project has vinyl tapes, CDs, and merch.
Yeah.
Drops, and everything drops on the same day. You know what I mean? I make sure that everything is one click away. You know, and very accessible. And if you the type of person that you like, oh, I'm not good with websites or whatever, you could DM me. You know, there's so many. Most of my business is done really on my DM. You know, I'm very accessible, man. You know, I ship everything myself. I don't have no team helping me with this shit or nothing. Everything that I ship out, I personally touch with my hands. I sign it. You know what I mean? Like, there's no machine behind me. It's really me that's sending y'all my shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I feel like that makes it more special too. You're not just getting some dude in a factory putting your shit in a box.
Yeah. It's for people that value the personal touch and the life behind the product.
That's the problem with business these days. Is there's no personal touch to it. Everything's automated. Everything is. It's like, you know, robot shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
especially with the AI generated artwork and shit, it's scary, man. For artists,
yo,
shit.
AI can't sell crack. You heard?
Got it. So, how are you doing for time? Are you still good? Are we good? Or
I'm good.
Dope.
Yeah, I'm good.
So, one of like the history of the Umbrella Collective, I think it's very well documented. So I don't want to necessarily ask you a million questions you've heard before about that. But you're a pretty big crew. I'm gonna run off some names. Snotty, you know, I'm getting up to date on him. Super dope. Mickey Diamond, of course. If I said it right, Josiah the Gift, John Creasy, Rob De Niro, Fruitless, Phyclopsis. I think there's more in the crew, if I'm not mistaken, or the collective. I wanted to ask you, being as part of such a big collective, do you guys ever have to deal with conflict? Like, do you ever butt heads on anything? Or do you have a strategy for resolving shit? Or is it all smooth when you're in such a big working with your collective?
Well, before we get into that, John Creasy, Allah Preem, and Shalin Luciano, they're no longer with us. They're not part of this collective anymore.
Gotcha.
And I don't want to. I'm just saying that for clarity purposes, not to shit on them brothers. I wish them all the best or whatever.
Gotcha.
But as far as like our conflict resolution,
yeah.
The umbrella, we work on like a voting system, you know.
Right.
We all in one group chat because we all live in different places. Some of us live in the same places.
Right.
So we'll go in the chat, and if it's something to be put on the table, it gets put on the table, and it's like, and we vote on it. You know what I mean? And you know, majority rules. Like that's how we just keep everything cut and dry. Like if that shit, if something gets brought to the table and niggas is like, yo, that shit is whack. That shit is whack. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then that the person or persons, because you know it's always like it's like it's a bunch of us, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it might be like 4 people vote this way, you know, 7 people vote this way. You know what I mean? Like, but everybody gets their vote. You know, if somebody like if like when Snotty was in jail, I get Snotty's vote by proxy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we work it like that. And for the most part, we don't have no conflicts. Of course, we butt heads sometimes.
Right.
It's fucking a bunch of grown men, you know what I mean, with different personalities and egos and opinions and ideas and all of that. But at the end of the day, we always get it to a point where the conflict is resolved, and it's always for whatever's good for the umbrella.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing bigger than the umbrella. There's no artist bigger than the umbrella. There's no nobody's bigger than the umbrella. So whatever resolution we come up with, it's for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it don't really be no conflict, because we all know we trying to do the same shit. So in order for us to do the same shit, we all gotta be on the same fucking page.
Yeah. From what I understand, you guys are kind of dispersed all over the states, maybe even overseas. Is that right?
Yeah.
Is there anything logistically challenging about really putting like the finishing touches on a project, a video, artwork, anything with that distance? Or are you completely comfortable with that approach to working?
We're a whole good self-contained unit, bro. We don't really, you know, that was the purpose of what we created, is that so that we are just our own machine. And it's been working out perfectly, honestly. Like, the fact that we're in different places don't really matter, because the internet is dope.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like we all do things through the internet, and whoever can link up in real life, link up. Like, I link up with the Detroit guys all the time. You know what I mean? They come out here often. You know, Snotty out here with me, Josiah out here. You know, like, so it's like it's just Dark Arts is overseas. You know what I mean? So we kind of spread out, but we kind of not that spread out. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like whoever's in it, and then, you know, whoever's like in the tri-state DMV, we can all get up together. The Detroit dudes come up here, and then we all link up together, and then we, for the most part, most of us can link up together.
I heard you guys had that big show together. Is there any plans in the near future to kind of all get under one roof and perform again?
We're gonna do a tour soon, bro.
Dope.
You know, we all plan on touring very, very soon. There's a lot of opportunities coming our way, and we just waiting for the right ones.
Got it. I wanted to ask you, you know, anything you want to do in life, I don't care what it is. You want to be a doctor, you want to be a musician, whatever it is, there's a competition, it's crowded. Obviously, it's about your commitment, your persistence, but your lane, like if I can call it a lane, and you sound like no one else in your lane, if you can just bear with me for a second. But do you feel it's getting crowded, and how do you stand out among your, you know, people kind of in your lane? Is that a fair question?
I feel quite the contrary.
Okay.
Honestly, I feel like things are thinning out.
Gotcha.
And I don't know if that's because we're moving up or people are going down.
Gotcha.
But I feel like things are thinning out, and there's a few people that, you know, we respect what they do, you know, and then everybody else is kind of just like afterthoughts.
Got it.
You know, not to be dismissive, but once again, like I said earlier, we're kind of like we're insulated.
Yeah.
You know, we don't pay attention to too much, so that we can only pay attention to what we're doing on purpose.
Yeah.
You know, you can't get caught up in like the comments and the Reddit threads and all. Like, I don't read any of that shit.
Yeah.
You know
that's a dope,
what I mean?
That's a dope way to be, for sure.
Yeah. And then whatever's like negative or whatever, I'm like, bro, I mute. There's so much like shit that I mute on Instagram or people I block. You know, I don't even want to see none of that weird shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like whatever's like weird and uncomfortable that's happening, or like drama, or like any funny shit, I just mute that shit or block it.
Right.
You know, I don't want to see none of that shit. I don't come to when I come on Instagram is to share art and to conduct business.
Yeah. It's interesting. The older you get, the more you realize, like, the people that you have around you, the things you consume, you really attune to it. For me, anyways, as you get older, man, and kind of dictates your energy. So, yeah.
Yeah, my dad used to always say, "Garbage in, garbage out."
Right.
That's a fact.
So I wanted to jump into some of your projects and like pull out some quotes and stuff, if you're cool with that.
Of course.
So I actually want to start with the notion of like short projects. I read you got the idea of that from punk rock, leaving people wanting more that used to have short projects.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know in hip hop who really started this? Like, short projects of EPs have always been around, but do you know who started that? Do you think you're part of that wave of people that started the short project kind of wave?
I'm not gonna say that. I feel like I said, when I did it, it was for, like, you know, a certain purpose. I wanted it to be long, like short and like long enough for it to be a good listen,
Right.
but a short enough project to where you want more.
Right.
So, and then I was just putting these out like every couple of months. I wasn't banging people in the head. So every time I dropped a EP, it would kind of hit like an album.
Mm-hmm.
And people would just want more, and I would just be doing in between. I would just do features. That's why when you said like, oh, like I'm like a go-to for features, I am, because in between projects, that's all I do, because that's one of my main hustles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's how I get money. I go online and be like, yo, this week I got time. You know what I'm saying? I'm booking 3 features this week. Boom.
How long does it take you to write a verse at this point?
For a feature?
Feature, just any verse, really. Is it quick work for you, or does it depend on the verse, or?
Most of the time it's quick work.
Yeah.
When I'm doing songs for myself,
right,
I'm a little more under constraint with what I, you know, because I put more pressure on myself on my own music. When it's somebody else's record, I'm free to just be Pro Dillinger, and I could just do my thing, you know, so that doesn't take long.
Right.
But when I'm doing my own projects, I'm trying to stick to a theme, you know. My projects are thematical.
Right.
So I'm not necessarily under constraint, but as there's a certain way that I want things to sound, and I'm very like meticulous with my own projects.
Right. And probably going a bit deeper, right, than you would on
because once again, I have to tap into things that I'm uncomfortable with.
Right.
So I could write a song and that should have fucked my whole week up. You know, like,
got it.
Like, I'll be like damn near unreachable. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll be present but not present because I'm so caught up in, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's like you get a bottle of water, right? And, you know, on the bottle of water, it's like little rocks and sediment and dirt, but it's settled and shit. It's like just like it's like a layer,
right?
And you take that shit and you shake it up,
right?
But it takes a long time to settle again,
right?
That's how it is every time I record a song. I shake up all this shit that settled, and then I'm just like that for like a week. You know what I mean? I might even stay in that, like I might stay in there on purpose just to write more and create more. And I'll just be in that bad space, like completely detached from whatever's happening in real life. Yeah, yeah. You know, but that's the price that I pay.
And your beats are dark, man, so it must be a heavy thing when you get to writing music. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That's why I don't record in nobody else's space.
Right.
I don't record in anyone else's space.
Right.
My own music. I don't record in nobody else's studio ever,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't want to bring my energy to your space, and I don't want your space to affect my process.
It's funny. I was watching. I don't know what rock band it was, but they're telling a story on the Joe Rogan. I listened to the Joe Rogan podcast. They were saying a story about like the guy came out of the booth and one of the engineers or someone in the studio said, "Hey, that was a great job," and that musician said, "Hey, don't ever fucking say that again to me." It was a compliment, but like he didn't want to contaminate his energy, even with a positive statement. Like he just didn't want to hear anything about it. If that makes sense. I thought that was interesting. It kind
I
of
don't
relates to what you're saying.
when I'm in that space, I don't want to be fucking talked to. I
Yeah,
don't want nobody around me.
yeah,
Nothing, bro.
yeah,
Like nothing, bro. I don't want nothing, because once again, that's a very, very personal space for me. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Because I'm tapping into feelings that ain't for everybody. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I go through mad different emotions. You know what I'm saying? And I think about, once again, like, my friends, and my people that aren't here to help me and see my little bit of success through with me. That affects me on a daily basis.
So I want to get into one of your quotes from Everyone's Foul 2019. Actually, before we do that, can you elaborate? I think I know what you mean by Everyone's Foul, but I'd love to hear it from your mouth. What does that title mean to you?
It's like you see the artwork for it. It's just like it's my face in the middle, but around my face is like the faces of like some of the foulest people in the
Mm-hmm.
world that did some of the most terrible shit. I feel like as humans, we all possess that capacity. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, your next door neighbor could be a fucking serial killer and you would never know it.
Yeah.
Or you could go to church with somebody that's selling dope. You know what I mean? It's everyone has their own ways about them.
Yeah.
And they own ways that their hands are dirty. And that's what I meant by that. Everyone, because it's true.
Is it basically your way of saying, don't hold up, don't put yourself on a fucking pedestal here. We're all, you're doing evil, you're capable of evil. Like, don't judge me or don't judge someone else. You know, is that a fair?
We we all the same. You know what I mean? We all the same. And I don't know, man. It's like, just like it can happen to you, you could do it to somebody else. Like, that shit
Right.
is, nobody's exempt. You know what I mean?
Right. So you got a quote from Slime. I'm gonna quote the hook. I never had a clue. I never planned for this. My father dead. My mother smoking on the cancer sticks. What am I doing wrong? I ask Allah to answer this. I'm waiting patiently, but knowing what the answer is. I've been sinning lately. Yeah, I've been sinning, baby. I just want to feed my youngins, but I'm living crazy. So I want to ask you, what is the answer? Can you articulate what the answer is?
I still don't know. You know, I mean, for me lately, the answer's been just staying out the way, being and maintaining my sense of gratitude, and just thanking God every day that I'm still here and able to to profit off of my gift. You know what I mean? And maybe even my curse.
Right.
It's gratitude, bro. That's the answer. The answer is gratitude. The answer is being present in the moment
Right.
without being too content, and just staying ambitious and always wanting more. That's my answer.
Got it. To fast forward a bit, from Too Foul 2020, I think that was your most heartfelt album. I think that's actually my favorite album largely because of the 2 tracks, Rosalinda, I think that was about your grandmother, correct me if I'm wrong, and then This Heart. So I want to quote some lyrics. Honestly, I think these are your most powerful lyrics to me personally from This Heart. You're like, this heart ain't pumping no lemonade. I'm a renegade. I'm living, but I'm looking for better days. I'm thugging, boy, my baby's on Medicaid. I walk a thin line between heaven and hell. How do I separate? My heart is on a platter. I give you my everything. If I die tonight, call my wife and give her my wedding ring. Tell her I love her. I'm sorry I wasn't living right, but I was out here chasing a dollar and trying to get it right. This heart is filled up with pain. I'll never be the same. Guess it's part of the game. Obviously, I skipped some words I can't say.
Yeah, of course.
But it's just superhuman. A lot of poetry. You know, as a married man, like, you know, I relate to that. You'll do anything for your family, type of thing. So I thought that was super powerful. And the way you talked about your grandmother, that's why that's probably my favorite short project of yours. So yeah.
Man. Those are, you know, it's just, I don't know. I didn't, you know, my parents was together, but they wasn't married, and I don't know what I'm doing or whatever, but I know that I have obligations and responsibilities, you know, at this point. You know what I mean? And that's the type of shit I need to be taking care of. I can't take care of nothing for nobody if I'm stuck doing the same shit over and over again.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I'm stuck in a cycle of, you know, perpetual like madness and dangerous situations and treachery and all type of shit, how the fuck I'm gonna focus on anything, you know, for my babies or anybody?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's hard to balance. That's why I said I walk a thin line between heaven and hell. How do I separate?
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Is that something that weighs on your conscience every day?
Yeah. Hell yeah. Or what? Like I told bro, regret is regret is that's a strong feeling. You know what I mean? That's like real shit. You know what I mean? It takes a lot to live with regret or to live in regret, you know?
For sure.
So, you know, it's very, very low vibrational shit. You know what I'm saying? But it's hard to let go of things that you feel bad for.
So, gonna jump to Playoff Rondo 2020, song called Defense. You basically said this isn't verbatim, but you're like, I wish I could just stay in my basement and record rap music all day, stay away from people. I believe that was during COVID. Correct me if I'm wrong. Was COVID good to you? Because I feel like that's a big part of your trajectory in this chapter. How was COVID for your life, your music?
COVID was bad, you know. I was working through the whole COVID. At the time, I was abusing substances. I caught COVID, like the original version of it. I was out of work for like a month. I thought I was going to die, bro. I went to the hospital twice.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, and I recorded Mega Foul in that time, like when I was sick, because I thought I was going to die. But
were you able to physically, like, deliver it?
I was like, in between, like, I was gassing out, I was passing out. You know what I'm saying? Like I was waking up in it, like, yo, bro, like sweating hard, like in my boxes, bro, recording, sitting in the chair, waking up in the chair. You know what I mean? Falling out on the floor, yo, hallucinating, and I was fucked up. Like I was fucked up, and COVID was just not good to me, man. That was just a real. I feel like that was just a low point for humanity, you
Oh
know. And it's like to make it out of that bubble, right? Of like that little era, because that's an era now. At this point, COVID
yeah,
is an era. Yeah, I'm once again extremely grateful that I was able to make it through that and maintain. You know, like a lot of people wasn't able to maintain through the pandemic,
yeah,
bro. I wasn't getting no government grants and no shit like that. I worked through the whole pandemic.
yeah,
I rapped through the whole pandemic. You know what I mean? But on the flip side of it, like you said, like there was so many people home that there was a lot of ears just listening and just waiting for shit to come out.
yeah,
So I was dropping music and people was just eating it up because that's all people could do at the time. All the shows was getting canceled.
right,
It wasn't shit going on. It just got back lit. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
so it was all fucked up for me. Like during the pandemic, I was just trying to get by like everybody else that wasn't fucking scamming and shit, you know?
Yeah, it
I was
definitely took a
just
toll
trying to,
on me as well, mentally, physically, without getting into too many details. But yeah, sorry for cutting you off.
no,
Go ahead.
nah, you good, bro. I'm just, you know, that shit fuck people up, man. And then it's like you home all the time, so you getting high, you getting drunk, you know what I mean? You arguing with your lady, you arguing with your
Yeah,
homies and
yeah,
shit. Like
yeah,
niggas just going outside doing weird shit just for no reason, just to be outside. You know what I mean? Like because you can't be outside. Like it was a fucking mess, bro. And I'm glad things are somewhat back to normal. And but shit'll never be the same
but it's interesting because that's part of your last that's a big part of your last 4 or 5 years, timeline wise, right?
for sure,
So
bro.
yeah. Um. So moving along, Pray for My Prey 2021. That was your first full length album, is that right?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
made you decide it was time to go for like a full length album? What
Uh,
what
I
triggered
just thought
that?
it was. I just thought the timing was right. You know what I mean? And Finn suggested it. You know, he was like, "Yo, we gotta go." I'm like, "Bro, I only do EPs." You know, I was trying to maintain that mystique. You know what I mean? And that mystery and that trying to keep people wanting more shit.
Yeah,
But I felt like he was right. You know, it was just good timing. You know, it was divine timing, and that was one of my more successful projects. You know, successful offerings because I gave people more. You know, the production value was way, way different
hmm,
because Finn is a genius. You know, shout to Finn. He's truly one of the more underrated producers in the game right now. He's a
right.
genius. You know, all them Canada dudes, man. Finn, Future Wave, Raz
Well,
Fresco,
Finn's
Dave
from
Stone.
Canada. I didn't even know. I
Yeah,
wasn't familiar.
from Toronto.
Right. Wow.
You know, so shout to all them dudes, man. All the Gold Era, BBM dudes. You know what I mean? Sibs Rock, all of them, man. Shout to all of them, man. Them dudes are so talented. Lord Juco, Family Gang Black, and they just like showed me mad love, you know.
Right.
So that project was real special to me. You know, Ason Eastwood, all of them, like nobody, like anybody that asked for a feature on that side was like more than happy to do the joint with me, you know, like because we all respect each other as artists and men, and so it was very natural, you know.
But by the way, Hunting Grounds, that's my favorite video of yours. I like
Thank
how like it captures like imperfections of you on stage, I think. You know what I'm saying? It puts you right then and there. And the opening bars on that are so visceral, bro. I'm gonna repeat them, man. I was listening to the little promo I cut with those opening bars over and over again on the train today. You're like, rain coming and my son sleeping. He in a room dreaming. I'm brushing up on my gun cleaning. Underground king and bum beat it. I'm important in my hood, giving stuff to believe in. I've been trying to leave these streets, but I'm stuck to the cement. Tell a hater, eat a dick, drink a bucket of semen. just all those bars and how they increasingly paint the picture of what's going on. That shit was visceral. That's the word I'll use to
It's real
describe it.
shit. But it was when I wrote that, bro, it was literally that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm in the living room. It was about to start raining. You know, I'm just sitting there with the window open, smoking a joint. I'm cleaning a firearm or whatever, and my son right next to him. That was a real bar, you know, like that was real shit. You know what I mean? Like, and then I said underground kinging, bun being. I'm important in my hood, giving stuff to believe in. You hear me?
Yeah, now I hear you. You said
Yeah.
I was saying underground kingin. That's where you cut off.
Yeah, underground kinging, bun being.
Yeah.
You know, like Bun B, Underground Kings. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I
Like,
thought you said bum beat it. Like, get the fuck out of here. That's what I
nah,
thought you said. All right.
nah,
All right.
Bun being, like Bun B.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm important in my hood, give them stuff to believe in. Those are real rhymes. Like, that's real shit. You know what I mean? Like, that's a dope song to me because, once again, I was coming from a place of authenticity,
Yeah.
you know?
Do you feel a sense of responsibility for your hood? Do you feel that sense of responsibility? Like, what level of weight do you feel to give people stuff to believe in, or in your area, neighborhood, whatever?
It's literally that, you know. I wanna become successful, you know, so like the people that's around me know that, you know, like I've worked this long for that, you know what I mean? And it's like, and I don't want to make it like some like after school special shit. Like, if I could do it, you could do it too. Like, it ain't that. It's
Yeah.
just like, I'm from here, you know, you from here too.
Cut it out.
There's a lot. Like, there is a lot of talented people from here that could have been successful, but just didn't give
Yeah.
themselves the opportunity. They didn't work at it long enough. They didn't stay consistent, you know, for whatever reason. Like, you stop and smell the flowers too long, and now nobody gives a shit,
Yeah.
you know. So I didn't stop to smell the flowers, never. I just kept going.
So on that note, moving along, Dios Amor, pardon me if I didn't pronounce it good enough. God is
Dios,
love.
Dios es amor.
Dios is Amor. God is Love 2022. I think that's one of your best and most intriguing projects.
Mm-hmm.
You wrestle with God through all of your projects, I think, but this one
Mm-hmm.
you're leaning heavier on that. Interestingly, Coach referred to it as the first underground gospel album. That's the way he explained it to me, and made sure I went looking for it. Do you agree with
Mm-hmm.
that sentiment? Is that the first underground gospel album by your account?
By my account, I would say so.
Yeah, I've never heard anyone label an underground album that, so it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Wanted to ask you, how early did religion play a role in your life? Has it always been there, or is this a more kind of as you got older? Or
My mom was like more like faith based. You know, I didn't grow up in like an original household or a religious household. You know, I'm Puerto Rican. You know, we're faith based people
right?
for the most part. We wasn't real heavy into the church like that. Uh, as I got older, you know, I went on my own journey of discovery as far as like spiritualism and just trying to figure that shit out or whatever.
Right.
You know, I took my shahada, became a Muslim, and
Oh,
yeah, I started finding things that I wanted the answers to. You know what I mean? And I've started finding the answers to some of these things, and then continue my journey with shit. And yeah,
when
like
oh, sir, can I ask when that was roughly? When, like, so you were more, I guess, I'm not good with religion, man. I'm not, you know, I'm
Yeah,
not up
man.
on everything, but
I took my Shahada in like 2009,
right.
2008,
But
2009. But I do felt like that brought me closer to God and closer to the answers that I was seeking, you know.
right,
Um, and you know, years later, I'm still searching and seeking and finding. You know what I mean? But yeah, God always has played an important part of my life because if he did not be dead or is in a prison and under the jail, you know what I mean?
right.
Like something. I'm here for a real reason. It's not just you know what I mean? I'm here for a real reason. I'm still here for a real reason, and I feel like this is my reason. I made that album. It's almost like a thank you letter to God. You know what I mean? But it like also like a declaration. You know what I mean? And a promise that it's like even though I live the way I live, I'm always be grateful for being here
So,
and
so you think you're executing a greater purpose doing what you're doing with your
yes,
music?
yeah, I feel like I'm spreading gospel, bro. Like I'm spreading the good. I'm like an evangelist or something. You know what I mean? Like
Right,
because even though I'm giving you the message in an abrasive way, it's still a message.
right.
You know, that album is just it's for praise. You know,
Hmm.
it's an album for praise. It's my praise.
Can I ask you what made you decide to do that in 2022? Was there certain thing, chain of events, or happening that's like, fuck, I have to do this now? Um,
It just felt right at the time. You know, like I said, things was happening. You know, like two of my very good friends got murdered,
oh,
and a lot of like things were happening for me personally, as far as like, you know, back and forth to court shit and all of that. And I just came to a point where it's like, man, fuck it, man. If all this shit stops, man, I'm good. Like I'm good on everything. I give it.
right.
I put yeah, I put it all in your hands right now. If all this shit could just stop, you know what I mean? And I could just get a second to just breathe, you know? And I was granted that reprieve. And to this day, you know, I kept my promise. I stayed out the streets. I haven't been into nothing. I just be doing music now. So that's that's why I'm still here. And I feel like the second I start fucking around and get on some street shit, I'll get jammed up again. So it's not even worth it for me no more.
Can I ask you a question? Why isn't that album on your Spotify? Because I started thinking into it, like, did he intend to tuck it away in the internet, in the corner of the internet, because it stands on its own, or was it something different? Like, because it's not on your Spotify, and I was just wondering if there was a reason behind
All
that.
the beats are the samples from all of the beats are from religious music from
Mm,
across the world.
right, right,
So when I tried to put it on my streaming services or whatever on distro, they
right.
flagged 7 out of 10 of the songs.
Yeah,
So only 3 of the songs would have been
yeah.
allowed to be streamed. So
Shit.
I was like, fuck that. You know what I mean? I want people to have the project in its entirety. So I just post it on my YouTube and put the
Yeah,
physicals out. But in a way that was kind of good because it wasn't streaming, people rushed to get the physicals because that's the only way you could hear it.
right, right, or right.
So the project kind of became like a cult classic type of thing in its own way.
I highly recommend those, watching this and those that are going to watch the clips after. I'm going to post a bunch of highlight clips if that's cool with you, that they check out that album. Don't overlook it. It's definitely one of your best. Um, moving along, Dirt Don't Hurt 2023. Your interlude was very powerful, bro. If it's okay with you, I want to quote it because you said that was as powerful as any fucking song you've written to me.
Thank you.
Anyways, so I'm going to quote you. You said, and this might not be verbatim, so bear with me. you can't fuck with someone that hasn't done no dirt. You can't fuck with someone that you haven't seen do nothing bad before. First off, I can't trust you. Second off, I can't really relate to you. I'm going to jump to another part. You say, I'm not saying it's bad what they did or didn't do. Everyone I chose to have around me in the physical form, they really get busy, and that makes me extremely comfortable. I'd rather be around 5 lions than 100 sheep. I can understand that. You know, even me just being who I am, I'm often skeptical of people in general, right?
Right.
But do you want to elaborate on that? And then I have some follow-up questions on that, if that's cool with you.
It's pretty self-explanatory, bro. It's like, even though I'm not in the streets no more, it doesn't mean that whatever, you know what I mean? I like the people that I have around me because I know what I know what I can expect from them. You know what I mean?
If something goes down.
Not even if something goes down, just period. Just I know what I can expect from the people around me in any situation. There's nothing around nobody around me is unpredictable. You know what I'm saying? Or like somebody I gotta look at and be like, you know, with the side eye and shit. I don't have to do that with nobody around me. Everybody is who they're supposed to be, and that's how I prefer it. People, you know, humans are very, like, even though we're creatures of habit.
Yeah.
I think because we're creatures of habit, sometimes it's like, because you're so habitual, every once in a while you want to break out your shell and do some wild shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where the fuck serial killers come from and shit. It's like the most habitual people are the ones that out of nowhere would do some erratic shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I like my erratic people around. I know what to expect from you.
You understand the parameters of the person, so to speak.
I'm like a good coach, you know. I know my personnel. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I want to ask you a question. You know, hip hop came from the Bronx, right? It's interesting with hip hop music is it seems like the industry around it is people paying for it that obviously didn't come from where it came from necessarily. Obviously, it's global now and all that stuff, but you see artists performing to a demographic that is maybe not their direct demographic quite often. Is that a fair statement? Would you say that? Okay. So I wanted to ask you, do you see a lot of people at your shows that aren't in your demographic that are kind of running up to you, that kind of appreciate what you do, idolize what you do, or maybe you just don't know where they're coming from? Like, how do you process this? And this is kind of based on your quote. You know what I mean? I wonder, how do you process even a person like me coming to interview you? And I'm not sensitive. You could say whatever you want. Like, what goes through your head in terms of, you know what I'm saying? Like
it's surreal, bro. It's surreal. It truly is. It's a surreal feeling, you know. And you know what's really bugging me out lately is like the amount of females that are into what I do in particular. You know what I mean? Like, because I make such an off-brand type of music that it's like, why in the world would a female want to listen to this? But I've been getting a lot of that lately, like just females that enjoy the sound, coming to the, you know, going to the shows. Like, I just did the nonfiction reunion show in Brooklyn.
Right.
And that's a completely different crowd than who I usually cater to. But a lot of them people knew who I was. You know what I mean? Like, and that was good. That was good for me, because usually, not so much in like the past year or two, but usually when I go into a room, I have to introduce myself to everybody. How you doing? I'm Pro Dillinger. How you doing? That's been happening not that often lately. You know what I mean? So when even different states, I go to different states or whatever, and I walk into a room and people already know who I am.
Are you comfortable?
Sorry. No, No, I'm not. I'm not comfortable with that at all. I'm very still. All of this is very brand new to me still.
Yeah. No, I imagine that being overwhelming. It'd be overwhelming for me probably. But
I'm not used to
yeah,
posing for pictures
yeah,
and
yeah,
signing my name on
yeah.
shit. You know what I mean? Like it's all new. Um, the first time I signed something was in New Jersey at
Mm-hmm.
at Arawak's Records, man. Shout to Dan the Beard, man. Dan Beard. He had a Most Foul vinyl from my very first vinyl press, and he came up to me. He was like, "Yo, can you sign this for me?" And I was like, "What?" Like,
Right.
you know, like he threw me off. I was like, "What?" Like, you know, like he was like, "Whoa, dude, like, you know, like, can you sign this for me?" And I was like, "What the fuck?" You know, like he pulled my vinyl out of his bag. I'm like, "Nigga, you was walking around with this shit?" Like,
Yeah.
it fucked me up.
Right.
It fucked me up. It fucked me up. And then I was like, "Oh shit." You know what I'm saying? Like that was like a key moment for me with like shit in my mind changed. You know what I mean?
I think people are attracted to and appreciate people who are not afraid to be themselves all the way. You know what I'm saying? And you know, your yourself and your music. You know what I mean? You have no fear in that, and it's starting to pop off, and that's what's happening. You know, by
Right.
my estimation. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
but wanted to ask you one more thing, and then I got one last question. We're actually closing up shop, man. So I appreciate all your time, bro. It's
No
been
problem,
an
bro.
honor. It's been an honor, really. Um, you recently visited Harvard, or were invited to Harvard, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell us what that was about? Because that's interesting that you know you get an invitation for that.
Me and it was, and once again another surreal moment because yeah, I didn't graduate high school, you know,
Right.
so to be invited to Harvard University for us for something that my teachers told me I was wasting my time at,
Right.
it was like a full circle moment, you know. It was almost like a you made it moment almost, you know what I mean? But I
Right.
didn't make shit. But just to be on that campus, knowing that I really, like, and the whole time, right, I'm looking at shit, I'm looking around, I look at Mickey Diamonds and shit, and I'm like, yo, like, what the fuck are we doing here? You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
Right. Right. Right.
what the fuck we doing here, bro? You know? And I was like, yo, I feel like we don't belong here. He was like, but we do though, you
Right.
know? So that was surreal. But we went there uh, as part of hip hop's 50th birthday,
Okay.
and Thousand Words invited us there with a bunch of other incredible artists for like a round table, like a like a hip hop round
It,
table.
it, is this a one-time event, or is this an ongoing thing that goes
He
on
did
there?
it. He did it. He did it a few times, but it's never gonna happen again. So it's
Got
like
it.
if you were invited and you were there and you have pictures there, like that's part of underground history because it's
That's
never gonna happen
dope.
again.
That's dope.
So I'm there with Mickey Diamond, XP the Marksman, fucking Tree Mason, Spanish Ran, Chase Fetty, Sam. But there was so many people there, bro. Like Hidden Character, Body Rock. It was so many people there, bro. Like, and we sat and we had like a round table discussion. And we recorded it, and just we just had such a productive conversation. And then after that, we went to Michelangelo's studio and we recorded a bunch of music, man, bunch of fire shit too. So
What was it in front of an audience, or like, and what were they what were they trying to get out of you, so to speak? Like your experience with music, or like
yeah,
what was?
we basically were just talking about like just building this, our culture, our corner of hip hop, and building it into what it is and what it could be potentially, you know.
Right.
Um, and it was just like a real insightful dialogue, man. It was just an energy in the room that you had to be there for, you know?
Yeah, that's dope. So I think this is a great place to end it. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I hope I asked you some questions you don't always get ever else. I really tried hard for that.
For sure, man.
I think your voice cuts through, you know, in the sea of hip hop music out there. Your voice is strong, and I look forward to hearing more projects for you and seeing how high you can take this shit, man. And really thank you for taking the interview. This is probably my biggest interview yet, man. And it's an honor, really. So
no,
yeah,
thank you for having me, brother. And then, you know, and salute to you and thank you very much. And I appreciate you for taking your time to do the proper research and being mindful of the questions you're asking and actually being on top of your job. I can't tell you how many of these interviews I do, and the person interviewing me is completely unprepared or unaware of what we do and just not really part of the scene and just trying to get a good interview, like, or clickbait or whatever the fuck, you know, or just I've been on interviews where people try to piss me off just enough that they could get enough content to use for a reel.
Oh, that sucks.
You know, like shit like that, where like like people try to bait you. So thank you for being a real journalist and having integrity and doing your job the right way. That means a lot to me and everybody else probably that you're going to interview.
I appreciate, sometimes I think, am I putting in too much time, but I think it makes a difference, you know what I'm saying?
No.
And so it got me in front of you, so I'm going to continue doing it that way.
Keep doing your shit, man. Yeah, keep doing your shit, bro.
So any final shout outs or anything coming up that you want to plug before we depart?
Yeah, for sure. Dirt Don't Hurt is out right now on all digital streaming platforms. You could tap in directly in the DM if you want to buy some merch or some vinyl. I always got some shit on deck.
Right.
You can hit my website, prodillinger.com. You could, oh yeah, and I'm dropping a project July with Copenhagen Crates. It's called it's called Dirty Work. Nice. And it's fully produced by Wino Willie. So that's on the way. And, you know, just stay tuned, man. ProDillinger.com. Hit me on the DM, tap in with me, follow me on everything, Twitter, all that shit. And, you know, just holler at me. When you see me at the shows, drink a beer with me.
Dope. And thank you, everyone, for staying tapped in. I don't know how long we've been running. Almost 2 hours now. It's not the first time it's happened. And it's official show. I'm happy you enjoyed yourself and stayed tapped in. And I look forward to staying in touch with you, bro. I look forward to seeing what you do, and hopefully we can stay in touch. Maybe down the road we can talk again. Who knows?
Yeah,
so
for sure, my brother. And I'm looking forward to the growth of your platform, man. You do a great job with everything, and much success and salutes to you, my brother.
Thank you. Have a great night, man.
You too, bro. Thank you.
Take care. Peace.